Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 6 of Super Geeks. My name is George. I am your host. Joining me today is, well, I'm going to introduce a couple of people first that haven't been on the show either before or in a while. One of them being a returning host, someone that was there with me from the very beginning, which is my friend Shell. How you doing, Shell?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. Where can people find you on social? Well, you know what? I'll ask you this again later. But where can you be found on social media, and what have you been up to lately?
Um, I don't know. I changed everything in my life. Got divorced, moved across the country, and just, started life again. People can find me on Twitter at Michelle LHS, though I haven't really been active lately.
Thank you for sharing, my friend. I'm sorry to hear about your divorce, but you
Oh,
sound
it's
like you're
okay.
doing.
It was totally my decision.
Yeah, but you sound like you're bouncing back. Like I know what that's like. So that's
Yeah,
good.
I
Well,
kind of
it
had this
does.
whole. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It sounds like you have a new microphone too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't sound like a robot anymore. Yeah, I kind of you guys knew my mom was sick for a long time. She ended up passing away, and I had a lot of health
very
problems
sorry.
start myself. Thank you. And I just kind of had this whole. I don't want to say midlife crisis because I'm way too young for that, but I just kind of had this moment, I guess, of clarity where I'm like, wow, my life is really fucked up, and I just changed everything.
Nothing wrong with that. In fact, I totally respect it, and I totally think that you know that I get you. Um, so yeah, Shell was there from the very start. Like when I first started Super Geeks, she, myself, we're going to talk about him in a
Will.
minute. Will and Anthony, the guy we're going to talk about in a minute here, started the show because these guys were always, you guys always had my back, and we've known each other for a few years now, and I'm very happy to have you here tonight. Seriously, and I'm
Thank you.
I'm very glad that you're doing all right.
Thank you.
All right, and also with me today is someone who has never been on the show before, but Carlos and Son and I, well, Carlos and I mostly know this guy from social media. That would be Sean Is it Sean O'Halloran? How do you pronounce it?
You got it right. It's O'Halloran. Everybody wants to mangle it. It's just no phonetics. Sound it out. You'll be
I'm
fine.
actually pretty good at Oren and Carlos met Oren. I'm pretty good about pronouncing names. I'll pat myself on the shoulder for that one. Sean, how are you?
I'm doing well, my friend. Very well.
Tell us about yourself a little bit. Like, what's your geek cred? Why do I have you on here? How did I meet you?
Well, here's the thing. I think you and I we met actually through the discussion of the whole Axon debacle. It's been going on for a couple of years now. I was one of the initial as the producer of Axon calls it the dozen or so people who were really into really monitoring the situation and what's going on. I'm an admin at Axon Monitor along with Carlos, and it's been an interesting few years to say the least on that. But I came into it like a lot of people. I'm a fan of Star Trek. I was a fan of what the folks at X and I were doing. And it's overall, I go back several years. I'm a geek like you guys. I used to run a blog called TV-tastic where I primarily did reviews and commentary and news on television shows. And
I did
and
not
this
know
is
that. I'm glad to know that. That's interesting.
yeah, I only kind of stopped because my professional life kind of got in the way of it. Is really really what happened. I consider myself, this is the thing about being a geek. When you really start getting into the culture, you start blogging and things, you start making a lot of connections. You start getting a lot of insight that I don't consider myself a professional. I consider myself a connoisseur that has expertise in the field. Just from the contacts I've made, I started reaching out. I started, I hate the idea of the blogger being the citizen journalist, but it was kind of like that. I kind of started doing a lot of that type of stuff, just trying to make contacts to get more insight into the industry. I really started doing this right at about the same time, about a year before that the streaming television shows on Netflix, right before House of Cards came out, is really when I started doing this.
Did you
So
also have some legal background too?
I did. I went to school too in the mid 2000s. I went back to school because I live in Vegas. So basically, I moved out here. Quick bio: I moved out to Vegas. I'm from upstate New York originally, Rochester, and I moved out to Vegas in 2003. I was sick of the weather. I was sick of the dead end jobs. I came out here in 2003. I started working, managing a jewelry store, finance office, like 40 miles outside of town, like in the California-Nevada border. I got married a year later, and my wife was having none of these nights of me being home at 11:30 midnight anymore. She had me, I went back to. She wanted me to come back into town. We're working in town. I want to get my degree in paralegal studies. It's always something I wanted to do. Then I went to work for a law firm for 3 years, and I hated it. It was the most boring job in the world. I had an incredible interest in the law. I've got a certification and a degree in paralegal work. So I'm pretty well background in the law in general, and in especially in civil procedure. But the just the work itself is so dull. And so I went to work my father-in-law's business, managing his office, and now he passed away a year ago. So now I do everything for this. I run the business entirely. So
That's
that's what I'm
cool.
doing now.
Awesome.
But yeah, but when it comes to my, like I said, I'm a geek like you guys. I've had a intense interest in everything sci-fi and pop culture kind of my entire life. It was kind of like it's cool because the older I get, I'm getting all my kids involved. I got my 7-year-old. He starts asking me all these intricate details about
I've seen all
what.
the pictures when you guys went to the Star Trek convention there recently. They're
Yeah,
cute. They're really cute. You guys, I
and
love how you share the pictures of your children dressed up as cosplay. That's awesome.
yeah,
I
they're what amazes me is that their knowledge of this stuff, it's like it overwhelms me. They start asking me trivia that's like, okay, look, I know this type of stuff. It's because I've been a fan for 20 years. How do you know this type of stuff? And it's really funny. I got a 7-year-old asking me all these intricate details about first contact. And wait a minute. So I don't get this. So there's a Borg queen, but I thought they all are this. They all have the same mind. I said, look, dude, don't even try to figure it out. I'm still trying to work that one out
Yep.
myself.
I
From
actually
my
had the same
7-year-old.
I had the same experience when I educated my daughter about Doctor Who. She ended up making a YouTube series where she did David Tennant Doctor Who videos that got more views than I could ever even imagine getting. She
Right.
got like an average of 39,000 views. She's graduated. I was a single dad with her, and she when she made a few of her videos, she's like 26 now, but some of her videos, like, of course I'm proud of her because she didn't have any idea what Doctor Who was. And back when I was raising her by myself after I got custody of her, I sort of said, hey, I started her with Blink for Doctor Who. That was the first step, and she ended up loving Doctor Who so much that she learned how to edit and she learned how to use programs to make music videos about episodes of Doctor Who, and she would take clips. And seriously, her videos to this day, compared to anything I've done, are
Oh my god. It's such a '90s thing, though. All the AMV
I
mashups
know.
of like anime and
But
stuff.
seriously, it's like crazy how many clicks she's gotten compared to anything I've ever done. Which I'm perfectly happy because you want your child to succeed you, right? So I'm not jealous. I'm like that's awesome that I inspired her to do that. So that's all
You're
I'm
totally
saying.
jealous.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Well, but yeah, and to me the biggest thing with my kids and this stuff, it's that I've I introducing them to stuff that I like is one thing, but I realize as a parent, what's more important is that they take it and they just make it their own thing. It's so cool
Good
that
dad
my
skills.
kids have all this like expanded interest in the fandom, in the different aspects of the universes themselves of these different
And they're
franchises.
going to ask you questions that are going to challenge you, and they're going to come at it from a different point of view. It's awesome.
Yeah, I agree totally. It's really making making parenting fun. My wife doesn't get it at all. She's not into any of this, but it's really I really have a it's really great. That my kids have really embraced and they've embraced their own things on it too. Like there's like things in their own like pop culture that I'm not into, but they've kind of drawn me into type thing, and it's
Well, that's
cool.
great.
I mean,
That's awesome.
yeah,
And the
it
children
works all
shall
the way
lead
around.
them.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. And Sean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. Do you feel like you're very excited, and I like that so much. I'm so glad to have you here. But is there anything else you want to tell us before I move on to Carlos?
No, not at all. Move on to the great Carlos Pedraza. Absolutely,
All right, man. I just
my
don't
good
want you to
friend.
think
And
I'm.
honestly Carlos Pedraza is I've gone out drinking a lot of friends in my lifetime, but I've never had so much fun as I have when I've been drinking with Carlos Pedraza. That is true.
You've been drinking. Wait a minute. Have you guys actually drank together offline?
Yes,
Oh
we
yeah.
have. We met over a year ago
I am
at
so jealous. I am
at
so
STLV,
fucking
and
jealous right now.
it was quite a weekend.
You guys,
This is
so
adorable.
seriously, yeah, you guys really have drank together offline.
Oh yes, sir. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
We even went shopping together. So
Isn't George adorable when he's jealous, Shell?
Goodness.
I mean, shit. I'm just jealous because, like, I could say cheers and say, hey, I'll have a drink offline, but I'm not there. I forgot you guys live near each other too. That helps, I guess.
The convention last year, we both got James Colley called us both up the same day, and I go every year. Of
Are
course,
you
every-
serious?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
and he called us up and he said to Carlos, he tells me, Sean, you got to be there. You got to be at SBS. Buddy, I'm there already. And then he calls Carlos up.
Elvis / James T. Kirk. Elvis / James T. Kirk, and we got to come up with a new name for that. Asked you guys to come hang out with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, I'm done. I'm ending the show right now.
I told you, isn't he adorable when he's jealous?
James T. Elvis. James T. Elvis. James T. Elvis called you. Oh my God. I'm done.
sir.
I'm done. I have nothing else. I'm done.
So yeah, we
That's-
went to Carlos came into town. I got him. Because I'm in the telecom.
His sideburns are better than. I mean, I don't even know if they're real, but I mean, Jesus Christ.
They are real. They are real.
They're definitely real.
Oh my goodness.
I'm done.
So-
Seriously.
So yeah,
I'm-
I got Carlos a room here on short notice. And we went out. I basically I drove around.
Can you guys get him on the show with us sometime? Do you have that kind of connection with him?
Call me right
Sure
now!
can ask.
George,
Sure we-
you would do nothing but like pant. You would be the one pushing sending.
No, I would be like
saying,
singing.
"I'm turned on right
I would
now."
ask him if he knows. I know, and Carlos would laugh at this one. You know why I would ask? You know, the first thing I would ask James Colley, it would have nothing to do with Star Trek.
To have your babies.
No, I would.
It has to do with Elvis, doesn't it?
A little bit, but it has to do with Captain Marvel and Shazam. I would ask him if he knows the truth behind Captain Marvel Jr. because Elvis, his whole shtick was because he was such a fan of Captain Marvel Jr. You know what I'm talking about, Carlos?
That James is a fan of Captain
No,
Marvel
no.
Jr.?
Elvis. If he's going to imitate Elvis, you get what I'm saying to Carlos? You see where I'm heading with this?
I don't think.
Yeah, I
anybody gets
guess,
where
but
you're
I mean,
headed,
I don't know
George.
that he necessarily like has a telepathic connection to the
No,
dead Elvis, but
well, no, but I want to know how serious he is about understanding the source material of the whole thing.
Nothing proves that this show is more geeky than that statement that you just ranted on, George.
I'm just blown away. I'm sorry. I mean,
I'm gonna fold your feet to the fire. See how much you really know, Elvis, buddy. Now tell me
Oh,
about
my
Captain
God.
Marvel, motherfucker.
I actually weren't you there, son, when I educated Timmy about the truth behind Elvis and Captain Marvel Jr.? Elvis was
No, it wasn't.
Okay, Elvis Presley was such a fan of Captain Marvel Jr. that his entire costume in the 70s was based, and his sideburns were based on, his entire look was based on the character of Captain Marvel Jr., who was now it's DC. In the past, it was a character that they call him Shazam now, okay? But Freddie Freeman, who is in the trailers for the new movie, the crippled kid with the crutch, you know what I mean? Not crippled, but he has a crutch. Well, that character who becomes Captain Marvel Jr., that was Elvis's entire obsession. I'm not lying. You can look it up. He was
it's true. It began on the battlefields of the First World War.
Yep. And Second World War. But when Elvis was in the army, he started reading every issue of the Captain Marvel Jr. comic book. The look they gave him with the slick back hair and the sideburns and the cape, the way his cape was hanging over his shoulder, Elvis imitated him. Everything Elvis did was to be like him. He worshipped the character. He was a comic book character, and he worshipped him. Elvis's entire career, up until after a certain point, once he started reading the comic books, was based around Captain Marvel Jr. He was obsessed with this character. It's a fact. You can look it up. I'm sorry, I can provide you with all kinds of proof.
Can we finish introducing all the hosts?
Oh my God.
Your son is like sitting there talking and nobody even knows.
Yeah, and Carlos, I'm sorry, guys. I got sidetracked by the whole Elvis thing.
No, I'm used to this on several other podcasts too.
Did you guys really drink with him though? James Crawley?
Goodness, George.
I've known James for like 15 years.
I believe you, Carlos, because I forgot. I keep forgetting that. And hold on, I'm going to introduce Carlos right now, even though everybody knows who he is. But the reason why I forgot for just a second is why he knows him. He's been on these productions that they used to do. Carlos, please introduce yourself. Give us your geek cred, even though I kind of spoiled a little bit of it. But your whole connection with the Star Trek fan background, go.
Well, I mean, obviously, I've been a Star Trek fan my whole life, but I started writing and producing for Star Trek Hidden Frontier, the fan series, back in 2003.
And he played what's his face on Mackenzie Calhoun on
yes.
that. Yes.
That was after I met James, and we decided to write that episode, and so he came out to California and shot the episode with us there.
That's why I geeked out. Sorry.
Just tone it down, George. Let Carlos finish.
I know. I'm trying. Sorry.
And then he invited me to work with him on Star Trek New Voyages, which I did for many years, and till I went off to start becoming a filmmaker on my own. So. And now, of course, I run the Axe Monitor website and am one of the admins on the Axe Monitor Facebook page, covering the aftermath of the Axonar copyright lawsuits.
I have to ask you before I introduce Son. I'm sorry, Son. Can you just bear with me?
Go ahead.
So I know, because of this whole conversation, I remembered that this is the only time in live action that the character of Mackenzie Calhoun, who's a popular Star Trek, Peter David wrote a book, the Star Trek, it's funny, it's
series
Frontier.
Of books.
Yeah, but the whole thing was titled New Frontier, not New Frontiers, not Hidden Frontiers, I'm sorry. But you know what I mean, like that character is so popular, he was even put into Star Trek Online. But the point is that you've now made me aware that you were whether you were involved or not, you know what I'm talking about. They did that one episode during I think the Tholian arc. I'm not sure, but he had previously played James T. Kirk on another show, but he was Mackenzie in you guys' circles, right?
Yeah, I wrote that episode.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Dude, oh my God. I'm having a
moment here.
I'm having a moment. I really am. I'm sorry. I'm blown away right now. I didn't know you wrote that episode. I'm sorry. I'm just having a James Colley fan geek ass moment here.
It was the
George
longest.
is losing his mind.
I kind of am right now, yeah.
It was the longest Hidden Frontier episode in all its history up until the series finale.
And the girl who played Shelby, which is his wife in the books, becomes his wife. I mean, the two of them, the fact that you guys even did that, oh my God. All right, dude, before I lose my mind, so can you take over the show? I got to go away. I'm joking.
That's for like 10 or 15 minutes. He'll be right back.
No, I'm just like, wow, I never realized that you...
He's having a geek out.
I'm seriously, this is the first time this is ever, maybe not the first time.
This is definitely not the first time. Or I wouldn't comment about it being adorable that you continue to have these moments.
I just never connected the dots before. I'm like, oh my God. I knew Carlos directed one of my all-time...
You've been coloring all the pages of the coloring book and you've just never done the connect the dots.
It's almost like I forgot Disney was the company that did Frozen, It's like, oh my... Is that a bad example? All right, anyways, I'll move on. I'm just taken aback because James Colley played my one of my favorite all-time characters, Mackenzie Calhoun. And he... okay, let's move on. So anyways, we'll talk about this some other time. This is why I hope...
It's going to be a whole episode itself.
Yeah.
Our fourth person tonight is Suncial.
Son... How are you doing?
There's a reason I have a leash and you have a collar. That's because I'm the handler with you geeking out.
That was only in the one episode of Bat Radio, and you know it.
Apparently, that's all it took.
She played Catwoman, I played Batwoman. We had a sex scene. It was,
No, you played Batwoman? What?
Oh, I said Batman. Did I say Batwoman?
You did say Batwoman.
You did say Batwoman.
You see what this show does to me?
It's not the show that does it to you.
I think it's you doing it to the show.
Well, okay, we'll recover from this.
I miss your Batman videos where you sound like Krusty the Clown. I think they're amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Sean, I would usually say this is not a good first impression, but I think it is actually. Anyways,
you're seeing George at his purest. So yeah.
Yeah. So. Oh my God. Anyways, son, how are you doing? Give us your geek cred.
I'm doing well. Unfortunately, thinking back to what Carlos said last episode, kind of by sheer force of will, am I in the geek community? Because I've only been doing this for maybe like 4 years at most.
No, well, actually, that's not true. We talked about this earlier. Star Trek Online, which is where most of us met each other, not all of us, but some of us.
But I didn't. We've played Star Trek Online, but I didn't fall into the community with all of you guys until about 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. And especially Carlos and Sean, because although Sean has played Star Trek Online, as I asked him earlier before the show started, it turns out we met each other through Axonar, which is weird because I thought for sure I met him before that, but that's all right.
And here's some irony about that. I'm not only actually a Star Trek Online player, I am a day one gold member. I'm one of the dopes that paid $80 for the game and then $300 for a lifetime membership when it first came out. So,
you got screwed.
Yeah, I really did.
It's all right. No,
I get all those super little awesome things that with every character that everybody else doesn't get.
I'm totally joking. For anybody that hears this, I have a great relationship with Star Trek Online. They actually made my show Starfinder happen. In fact, the head developer They pimped my show because the show takes place in the Star Trek Online universe, and they made it so after they approved the first episode, made sure I didn't call. It's funny. I swear to God, this is a weird coincidence. So when Axonar happened and they had certain copyright violations, which is ironic because you two of you guys here are part of that whole situation. The thing that made my show get on the Star Trek Online's approval level was they said to me, there are basically two things we need to make sure you didn't do before we can approve you. Number one is the music. Okay, I made sure to get original music. Some of it was composed. Some of it was a royalty-free thing from a couple of sources. I had to fight with my engineer to make sure he did not use Star Trek music because at the time, and this was a lady at CBS. I don't remember her name. It's 2013. I don't remember her name, but she said to me,
Liz?
It might have been. It was a while ago, but I said to her. I mean, I didn't say to her. They asked me, Brandon and son, you know who I'm talking about. Star Trek Online at the time, Brandon, that was his name. He said, "You need to make."
Uh-oh.
Bye, George.
I think he got too excited.
Sorry.
There you are. Okay. Keep going.
Sorry. No, I was hitting the wrong button. Sorry. So, Sean, I totally understand what you mean now, but hold that button down for too long, buddy.
I'm telling you. Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm gonna make this brief, and then we'll go on to the actual show. I'm sorry, guys.
George, I don't think you know how to be brief.
I don't know how to what?
You don't know how to be brief.
Yeah, you're right. This is weird though, Shell. Seriously, if you've been here for the last 4 episodes,
George is like how I am by posting on Facebook. This is how he is on his podcast. Yeah, my definition of brief when I'm on Facebook posting is
all right. You're right.
Different than most people.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna seriously make this quick and then we'll move on. I'm sorry. This is a bit of weird start to the show. So my point was that he said to me, "Did you Did you guys copyright or use music or whatever that Star Trek would not approve of?" And I said, "Nope. I made sure that we used original music and we used original everything." So he sent the first episode to the entire team at Cryptic, who ran Star Trek Online, and he got back to me later and he said it was incredible and the team loves it. And from there, they promoted us on the show. They not only did that, but they put my ship from the show into the game. All right, so I'm gonna pat myself on the shoulder. I'm doing that right now, actually, and so I'm just saying, like, it's an accolade. I'm gonna.
Can you hear the humbleness in his voice, guys?
It's an accolade.
Oozing.
It's super cool, George. Congratulations on that.
It happened a while back, but you guys, I'm just saying that I know that there are certain steps that need to be taken to do the right thing, which is going to lead us into one of our topics. You know what? We might as well start with it since I kind of opened my mouth. Guys, I'm going to talk about this. Now, Carlos, you brought this up about the whole CBS versus the tardigrade subject, the whole lawsuit. We talked about this about maybe one episode ago, I think, but there's been an update today. So because of the way that I'm leading into this, would you like to update us on what's going on? And then I'm going to ask Sean for his opinion.
Well, let's see. I think since the last show that we talked about this, the lawyers that were hired by this game developer in Kuwait claiming that CBS had stolen his ideas for Discovery from his not released video game, still hasn't been released in the game. And so he hired these lawyers to, file this lawsuit against CBS as the producer and Netflix as the co-producer and worldwide distributor for Star Trek Discovery. And unfortunately, these two guys One of them was listed as delinquent in his attorney registration with the state of New York, and the other one kept kept submitting deficient filings for the to the court, so that it couldn't even issue the summons to send the papers out to serve CBS and Netflix with the legal papers, because he kept messing up the form that you fill out. And so it took 10 days to finally get the summons taken care of and have CBS and Netflix actually served with the lawsuit. So 10 days this has been going through all of the news cycles, and the people accused in the lawsuit hadn't even been served yet. But now that's they have been served. It looks like from the listings at the court, and so we have I think 20 days from then or they have 20 days rather to give their answer to the allegations and or ask the judge to dismiss the case.
All right, and Sean, what are your thoughts?
And also, I haven't actually reported this yet on Axe Monitor, but I on Thursday or Friday decided to check to see if, in the wake of the new media attention on the fact that that he's delinquent in his registration as an attorney in the state of New York, his attorney has actually paid the money to register. He was more than a year, about a year and a half in arrears in registering with the state of New York, and as of this past week, he is a member in good standing again of the as far as the courts are concerned in the state of New York.
I didn't know you had to pay a membership due. That's weird. So if you don't pay it,
it's like in nursing. You have to re-up your nursing license, and usually for that you have to pay a fee and then go through some kind of test.
Oh, okay. So like this.
Yeah, it's actually that's very similar to. I didn't even know nursing was like that, but that's very similar to.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, you've got to. There's basically two things you have to keep your law license going, and that is number one, you got to pay the annual fee, but the other part, the second part of this is you have to do what's called continuing education, and basically you got to do a certain number of hours of continuing education. When you think about it, that makes sense. Because the law is one of those fields like medicine that's ever evolving. So what somebody knew when they passed the bar exam and got their license in 1988 about the law's changed significantly in the past almost 30 years since 1988. I'm just using that as an example, but it's changed significantly, and that's why in any state you go to, they'll have continuing education requirements to keep your law license active, as well as paying your annual fee, and of course doing pro bono work as well. There's several requirements, but the two big ones always seem to be from state to state. No matter what jurisdiction you're in, pay your annual fee and get those continuing education credits. And go ahead.
It's why all the EMH Mark Ones in Star Trek Online were downgraded to nurses from doctors.
That's yeah. Sean, let me ask you a quick question. So just for people who don't know, just to kind of recap, this lawsuit we're talking about, the update to, is about Star Trek Discovery. Well, not just Star Trek Discovery, CBS as an entity being sued because there was. Carlos, can you sort of just kind of recap what the reason for this lawsuit that we're updating is?
I thought I did actually.
Actually, you did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my thoughts are this: that I mean, do we have any idea what the window is for how long they have? I think we talked about this last time, but there's they seem to be moving pretty fast, right?
Yeah, because I think generally speaking, I'm not sure if federal is. I think you've got between 2 and 3 years before the initial when you realize that, hey, they ripped this off from me, and now I want to be compensated. I want to seek damages, whatever the case may be. I think that's your statute of limitation on that. It's either 2 or 3 years. I'd have to consult with one of our many legal experts we have amongst the Axe Monitor folks, but I think that's what it is. My opinion on this is very simple. It's like I'm I don't. How do I put this? I don't even fault the guy, to be honest. I think his case is going nowhere. I think that he's not really understanding that there's, in order to prove a case like this, it's not just about things that are kind of similar, little random things that are kind of similar throughout. You have to have there has to be an overall package. It's got to be substantially similar. And not only that, you have to have proof that you have to be able to prove that that the defendant knew this at the time. It was aware of, not just that, aware of your work and aware that your work, that they were going to be copying it and using substantially the same work. And I don't think that this guy is. I think he's looking at it from the wrong perspective. I think he's made it very clear that he feels disrespected by CBS because he reached out to CBS, and so I think he's kind of convinced himself that they knew exactly what they were doing. They've intentionally tried to screw me, and now I want my pound of flesh. And from what I can tell, he went lawyer hunting. He went lawyer shopping, and I don't like to criticize lawyers in general that are respected members of the bar. But from what I can tell from these guys is that they're kind of like the ambulance chasers of the copyright law industry, and I think they're selling him a bill of goods as to what he can expect as an outcome to this case.
That makes sense.
It's going to be very difficult to prove anything whatsoever. I would not be surprised whatsoever if they're able to get this dismissed. CBS, that is, get this dismissed right out of the gate.
That's the thing about legal issues. It's an ongoing thing. I don't, I seriously, we could talk about this for so long on speculation. So the only reason I want to push on to the next subject is because I feel like this subject is still ongoing. It's not like a done deal. We don't know what's going to happen yet. We can speculate all day long, but I feel like we are sort of just updating the story. So can we? I
have to kind of agree with this. I think we're kind of just scratching the surface of this whole thing, and the problem is because of the complex nature of copyright law in general. Look, as we've seen for the past 2-3 years now with Axonar, just how complex it is. That we're not going to really get anywhere. We're going to be doing a lot of talking about a lot of theoretical, issues and such, and not really get anywhere. So I'm kind of like on the same page you are. That I think the overview that Carlos just gave, and my take on it, I think that's really about all we can talk about right now at this. There's really nothing more to say until CBS responds.
Well, from a legal standpoint, because I think the real story here aren't the legal machinations that are going on, because I think they're pretty straightforward at this point. And we really won't have anything really to talk about until CBS files its response in a couple of weeks. But I think that the real story going on right now is the lightning rod that this lawsuit has become for disaffected fans of Star Trek. You're seeing toxic fandom, rising up to support this lawsuit, not because of any legal merits it may have, but because they believe that anything that can potentially cause pain to CBS, either for betraying the vision of Gene Roddenberry in the way that it's made Star Trek Discovery, or Axonar fans who want revenge for Axonar being smacked down by CBS and Paramount in that lawsuit. So they see it. I think Alec Peters on his Twitter this past week, retweeted a link to one of these stories, and the one word message that he attached to it was just karma. And you only have to die. There's a half dozen mostly anonymous YouTubers who like to peddle conspiracy theories about Star Trek and Discovery and whatever else they can think up to gin up views. they've been beating, rallying the flag around this as well. And all you have to do is spend 5 minutes on their web pages and read the comments, and it's amazing how vitriolic some of these people are, and just they really see this lawsuit as a way to exact vengeance
Justify.
on the
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Well, but see,
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't.
I totally get it.
Well, you don't even really need the lawsuit to see that there's actually some sort of non-spoken turmoil going on between CBS right now, with all the rumors that Les Moonves is stepping down,
Oh,
and
it's not a
that
rumor
somebody.
anymore. As of this
Oh,
evening, it's pretty close to official.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
that, done
oh,
deal.
Yeah.
really?
That's gone. Because
Okay,
women have
well,
come out
I
and
mean,
talking about criminal charges now.
Okay, well, I mean, you've had all this turmoil with Les Moonves stepping down, but you've also had all of the hell that the shareholders have wrought against Moonves because of keeping to hold off. Well, I can't words say them proper, but with the whole merger between CBS and Viacom that keeps getting talked about, getting put together, and Les Moonves just walks away from a meeting and goes, "Nope, not happening."
But there's a reason for that, and most CBS shareholders should, and I think do, agree with that reason, which is that Viacom is in terrible financial shape. Paramount Pictures has been losing money. Whereas CBS Corporation they're riding high on the hog. They're making money hand over fist. So from Les Moonves' point of view, and CBS Corporation's point of view, any forced merger, any merger that's forced upon them by the company that owns them both, National Amusements, um, can only serve to drag CBS down along with Viacom, or force CBS
Yeah,
to pay to improve Viacom. And in either case, that's not really great for CBS shareholders. So there's a
right.
reason why Moonves was standing up, against this merger, because he doesn't see it as being in the economic best interests of his shareholders.
Um, I totally think this is an interesting subject. I really think that we're going to find out a lot more. I think pretty soon. It seems like they're kind of moving a little fast. I kind of want to switch gears only because I have a certain time restraint. But guys, this is an interesting topic. Seriously, we need to talk about this again. That's why I'm
Well,
glad
look,
that.
and here's what I'm going to tell you right now. I'm having so much fun right now. You call me anytime. I want to be. I want to do this again with you guys. No question at all.
You are definitely re-invited, Sean. Don't worry about that. I actually have asked you before, and you didn't have the time, and I understand that. But don't worry, you are going to have an opportunity, and I'll make sure that we can all schedule it. But let's just move on to at least one other subject. Henry Cavill joining The Witcher as the lead character. Who here has played or at least seen is aware of The Witcher as either a book series or a game? Everyone, anyone. Chell, what about
I'm
you?
aware of. I'm aware of the
Well,
game. I'm aware of the games myself. But the Witcher is one of those series that series of games that I've never had a chance to. I've heard nothing but good things about it though.
same here.
And so I'm very intrigued. This casting of Henry Cavill for a series on Netflix makes me more intrigued to go out and start playing the games. I got to be quite honest with you.
Dude,
Um,
go ahead, Chell. I mean,
I
sorry.
it's fine.
Yes, Chell.
I
Sorry.
I didn't play the game myself. I've been there while other people were playing the game for a long time. I like to watch people play games. I know that's
I
silly,
agree. I watched the cinematics, but I've
but
never
yeah,
actually
the
played the
game is
game. I
really
read the books
beautiful.
though. I'll be honest with you. I read the books. They're awesome.
It was really in depth, and it was very engaging as someone watching the game, not actually playing. Like, it was not a lot of games can necessarily hold my interest to just sit and watch it almost like you would a show. And it was really beautiful, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I enjoy Henry Cavill, so I think that would be interesting. I am not sure how he'll fit in that character, but I think he does adventure well.
Son, I know you know a lot about The Witcher. We talked about this earlier with
Well,
some of.
I know bits and pieces about The Witcher mainly because I own the remastered edition of the first game.
The first game,
on
not the third. That's the one everybody's just loving.
Well, I own the first game, but just like a remaster of the first game because I'm like everybody else. I've heard nothing but good things about The Witcher. So when I was sent the ability to get The Witcher free, I was like, okay, here, let me find out about it. And it's an interesting game to play for sure, and I can understand a lot of the enjoyment of it. But God, the mechanics of it are just so strange to me.
What about you, Carlos? What's your knowledge or even passing interest, if any, about The Witcher?
Well, I'm really not much of a gamer, so I've never played it.
That's fair.
I'm dimly aware of it. I am a Henry Cavill fan, so of course, and I'm a Netflix fan, so of course it caught my attention. But of course, the looming clouds on the horizon around the casting is not about Henry Cavill, but
More
around
Cavill.
the disclosure that the character of Siri, is it? Is being cast as a person of color. And of course, the
Whoa, wait a
usual.
minute. You're
Oh,
now
yeah.
telling me something I did not know. I actually talked to
Yeah.
Son about this earlier. I have my only concern in this whole show has been about Siri, and I'll tell you why in about a minute. But you keep talking because you just made me realize something I did not know, and I'm actually I don't care.
Google foo it. Let him finish, and you Google foo.
Yeah. No, please keep
Excuse
going.
me.
I'm sorry, Carlos.
Yeah, we're going to see a replay of what we've seen with Ghostbusters, what we've seen with Star Trek Discovery,
Ah, shit, really?
where the casting of someone who's not white in a role in
Well, that's not my issue,
franchise.
but keep going. Sorry.
Well, the point is that she's not white. She's not going to be white. They're casting someone who's not white, and we're already hearing stirrings out in amongst the now unfortunately not so dark corners of the internet where where
Not
people
the
are
dark web.
not the dark web, just the dark
No
corners
pun. No
of
pun.
the
I'm just
light
saying.
web. And they're freaking out. They're freaking out because they're like, in their mind, this is a white woman and she must be a white woman. And if she's not a white woman, then it's a betrayal of all that, one must hold dear about Witcher. And
She doesn't have to be, but you know what's funny? Okay. So the reason the character of Siri means so much to me is because of my relationship with my daughter. I love the fact that I raised my daughter pretty much as a single dad from the age of 13 all the way through high school, and I was proud of that. I don't care if the character Siri is necessarily a white person. I read the books, okay, and the thing about Siri is all that matters is that she's an adopted daughter to the character of Gestalt, who is going to be played by Henry Cavill. And I'll be serious with you. It doesn't matter if she's white. You
So
caught me. Hold on. You caught me off guard when you guys told me she wasn't. Well, Carlos mentioned she wasn't white. But I'll tell you what. Now that I think about it, as we're talking,
Can I just interrupt here for a moment
yes, you can. Go
and
ahead.
say with the biggest grin on my face, I was not thinking you were going to go with the dad angle, because the whole thing about The Witcher, especially the first one, is that you can literally have sex with just about any of these women.
No.
When you have sex with these women, you literally get a nudie trading card of them.
No, well, yes, but the characters, but the character of Ciri in her relationship with Gestalt, and anyone who knows The Witcher will know that that's a very important thing. She turned out to be a princess. She's the daughter of a king, and Gestalt and his sort of on and off girlfriend Yennefer is her name. She's a mage. They raise this show, by the way, has been out in the Denmark or whatever years ago. The show has been made into a TV series long ago, and Ciri was they portrayed her as the youngest version of her. And in this book series, in the whole story, the whole thing that's so endearing about the character of Ciri is her relationship with her adopted dad, who is the main character. And it's not about sex at all. It's about the relationship between a father and a daughter. That's all that matters. And when I never played the game, but when I
Well,
watched it,
apparently that's not all that matters as far as some of these fans are concerned.
yeah, I know, I'm
Do
sure,
do
but
we know who has been cast, or are they still casting and we
No,
just
they have not
know?
cast the person. They've not cast the person
oh,
at
they
all.
haven't. Okay,
Did they?
What's happened is that the casting call that has gone out to casting agents from Netflix makes note that they're looking for a non-white minority, black or Asian actor to fill the role.
So,
good.
are they
Okay.
just trying for diversity, or
Yeah, that's
do you know?
exactly why. And even the creator of the game has said, or of the books, has said that he is more than happy and wants to see diversity in the casting
I have
of
no
the
problem with that.
series.
But you know
I
why
mean,
I
she's
don't?
an orphan,
Go ahead,
so
Sean. Sorry.
yeah, so she could be anything. I mean, they could have made it.
Yeah,
They could have made her anything.
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
understand the backlash from that.
Well, it's
Yeah,
because of the
I'm
game.
of the opinion. I know, like I said, I know very little about this. I'm of the opinion of who cares. I mean, really,
People do though. That's the problem.
I've never understood this. This comes back to all this notion, this toxic fandom notion that you've got that the fans, the consumers, should have control, should have creative control over the product, and I find that notion absurd. It drives me up a wall. Whether it's Star Wars fans that think that they should be able to crowdfund and remake The Last Jedi, or whether it's Star Trek fans who are losing their mind over the fact that the Klingons don't look the way that they're used to the
Yeah,
Klingons looking. It's ridiculous. It's like,
I agree.
hey, this isn't you. I keep saying this, that they owe you nothing, is what it comes down to. Well, we spend the money, we're the fans, but here's the thing: without the creators, there is no content. You wouldn't have a fan to be anything. You wouldn't be a fan of anything without them. So
Carlos,
either take
where
it
was
or leave
Sean
it.
3 weeks ago?
He
He's
was
always
here.
around. I talk to him all the
He was
time.
here.
No, but you know what I'm saying, right? Because we talked about this, and I'm like, I keep
Yeah.
hearing echoes in my head, like, where the hell was Sean? Well, I wish you had been here, Sean. Seriously, me and Carlos and me and Hinman and Son, we all. Oh my God, seriously, dude,
Look,
you do.
see here. Interestingly enough, I was one of those people that went, "Oh God, okay, so they're making Ghostbusters, but it's an all-female cast. Okay, well, I guess
See,
I'm just
my
gonna
my
have to see
problem.
this movie."
Yeah,
It
And
could
my
have
go and
worked.
see
problem.
I go and see the movie, and it's like it's okay. It's not great. I
It's
mean,
not.
it's not great, but it's
It's
okay.
so funny that you mentioned the Ghostbusters movie because I just reposted over and over. There's certain scenes in that Ghostbusters movie that work so well, but it's just that the problem is the director had this. He just went too far. I mean, there are certain parts that work so well, but it's just as a whole,
The
you
problem
know.
with the movie was that it just wasn't a very good movie. The
Yeah.
problem with the fans
Correct.
is so many
Yep.
were outraged
Yep.
that it was women, but that had nothing to do with
It
the
had
fact that it was a bad
nothing to
movie.
do with
It was
it.
a bad
But
movie.
see,
It was
then you
a
have
bad movie.
right, but then you have now, even so, you have those people who rise up at the beginning that go, "Oh, it's a bunch of women, it's a crock of shit." But then, as soon as that happens, you literally have a backlash wave of people go, "Oh, you didn't like the movie? Then you must be one of those toxic assholes."
Yeah.
And
Correct.
it's
Right.
You're right.
absurd.
Well, people
Yeah, I
just like
agree,
to
and I
they
think
like to
my
paint with a
Well,
wide brush, and unfortunately, the world is more nuanced than that. And my own feeling was even a third school of thought, which was, why are you remaking a movie that's pretty much a perfect movie to begin with?
If only it
exactly
had been,
you
it had not been a
exactly
reboot.
that
If
was
it had
my
been a
point
sequel with
entirely.
women, I would have been.
Ex-
I think that would have
if
been
it had
great. But
been a sequel and they had actually kept the fact that the canon was that what happened in New York in 1984 was legitly part of the past of the mythology, I think 50% of the fandom would have been okay. But no, they had to say no. It's a reboot.
I don't I honestly don't think so. Too many people just
I do.
got all butthurt because it was, somebody dared to make women Ghostbusters.
No, Shell, you don't get it. It
No,
wasn't about that.
it's both, folks.
No,
It's
it's
both.
the same.
There are
It's both.
people
Yeah,
who
you're
are
right. It's
exactly
both.
like what Shell is saying, and there are people who are exactly like what you were saying, and people exactly who like I was saying and Sean was saying. Fandom is made up of a lot of different schools of
True.
thought, but
Right, it's not my
what connects each of these things is the degree to which these fans or so-called fans have invested their own personal identity into what they believe their franchise means for them, how it defines who they
Yeah.
are.
That's exactly it. Like what you were talking about with people with Discovery. They're like, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong, the Klingons are wrong. So it's gotten to the point where I'll tell you guys, most people know I hated Discovery, but I don't care about that stuff. Yes,
I
a lot
actually
of
didn't know
stuff
that.
was wrong, but I just didn't like it.
You can totally hate it. You're right.
But as soon
Go
as
ahead.
I say I hated Discovery, then
You're
people
branded.
know I'm a big fan of Klingons, so people automatically start assuming, oh, you hate Discovery because of the Klingons. I'm like, no, but thanks for deciding for me. I just don't like it. There are
That's a
reasons,
good point.
But everybody assumes just because so many people cry out, oh, Discovery is wrong and so it's awful. I can think Discovery's terrible without thinking all of that other stuff. Everybody lumps you. Not everybody. Most people lump you into things like that.
Well,
Yeah,
for myself, I've always. Sorry, Sean, you go ahead. I talked over you last time.
It's okay, but here's the thing: is that Carlos hit on my exact point about Ghostbusters, and this is from the very beginning. Is that, honest to God, Ghostbusters is one of the most perfect films ever made. The original film.
Yes.
I'm one of the few people I know that I said there shouldn't have even been a sequel to it in 1988.
Well,
you're a purist.
No, wait a minute. Return to the Ghostbusters was a fan film.
Yeah.
I actually almost interviewed the guy that made the fan film. There's thousands of dollars spent on this fan film. It's called Return of the Ghostbusters, and they made it in Denver. And the guy that made the Hank Braxton, that's his name. Maybe you've heard of him, Carlos, in your circles. I'm not sure. He was going to come on my show. That's when I got evicted, though. But I'll tell you what, this guy is a legend. And let me tell you, he made Freddy versus the Ghostbusters, which is Freddy from the Nightmare on Elm Street. And then he did Return of the Ghostbusters. This was the Denver franchise of the Ghostbusters, a totally new group, had nothing to do with the people from New York, except for one of them was the nephew of Egon. Now, when they made this movie, the reason I was pissed off that it wasn't a spin-off, that it was a reboot, was they could have just said, because the whole setup of the first movie was that they wanted to they said we're going to allow franchising. That was the whole thing. So you could have easily just said this is a franchise of Ghostbusters. You have an all-female group. This is a franchise. And you could have had cameos by Bill Murray and everybody, which they did, but they rebooted the whole concept. That was where they made a huge, huge mistake.
They rebooted the whole concept, and they kept trying to throw in fan service of, oh, remember these things? You like these
Well,
things?
yeah, even the original trailer itself was like, oh, this happened so many years ago.
Exactly.
They
misled everybody with that trailer. You're right, son.
They did, but I don't know. Sometimes it seems like, not necessarily just with Ghostbusters, just in general, some people, they start out a project for nostalgia reasons. They really want to recapture that. They think, oh, this is, 30 years later. There's whole generations of people who don't know anything about Ghostbusters. So even though there was this perfect movie in the 80s, there's all these kids now who maybe their parents never showed it to them. They don't even know what the heck
That's why there's a Spider-Man reboot every 5 years.
Yeah, I get that. They just didn't execute it well.
I find it funny that this wasn't even one of the topics, but I'm gonna go with it because I was thinking about this the other day, so I don't mind. It just naturally spun off of something we talked about.
Well, it does tell, because I know we had decided we were going to discuss the Jack Ryan series on Amazon, and this does dovetail. This is all about reboots. I mean,
it does. You're right. It does dovetail onto that.
The nature of entertainment of today. So and I back to Discovery. I'm with Shell on this, in that I'm a massive Star Trek fan. I support Discovery in concept. I support it with my money. But my feelings on the show were that I felt the entire first season was done by came off like it was done by committee, and there was really no closure to really anything. It's like, okay, we get to the end and the Klingon War's over, yay. What happened in between? I can't really remember that much about it. I do remember that there was some Klingon titties and there was a couple of good Harry Mudd episodes, but and I kind of enjoyed it. Really didn't blow me away type thing.
You were such a boy. No, I mean the thing is, here's what I compare it to, and maybe a bit more of a tangent than we want to go on to in terms of doing a review of Star Trek Discovery's first seasons, but overall, what I would say is if you compare this to the first season of any other Star Trek series, including the original series, this is the best first season of Star Trek series you've seen.
100%. Well, besides the original,
the best Star Trek.
I can't argue
that
with that.
Cast from the very beginning was cohesive, and they worked well together. Most of their stories were pretty decent in the first season.
I'll agree with you there, Shel.
I agree with you about the cast, but I felt
a lot of recycled Trek is what it seemed like.
It was recycled Trek, is what it was.
Yeah, they were kind of running out of steam. I didn't really, and a lot of people say that it didn't get good till season 4. I went back and I've binged season 3 before, and I've really enjoyed season 3.
They didn't really have a choice, did they? Because season 4 was it. They'd already decided. The only reason they even did a season 4 was because of if they didn't, there wouldn't be
they were working on season 5 up until they had built up so much with the Romulans on season 4.
No, that wasn't why, Shel. They had a legal. It was if they didn't do it. Well, if they didn't do,
but they were about halfway through season 4 before it got.
Yeah, this isn't either or, folks. It's a both and. You're both right. They were, of course, planning on a season 5, but they also needed the 100 episodes at least in order to go into syndication.
I so want to shove in a political joke right here.
Do it. Just go for it.
This is why the fandom can't be socialist. Because we can't agree on anything.
Right, exactly.
I find that's a trait of virtually any economic or political system
Jesus
human beings
Christ.
have come up with. We can't agree on anything.
All right, I'm going to say this. I do kind of have to end it soon, but I will say this. This is probably the best mix of hosts I've ever had, and I've been laughing every time I take off my hand off of the push to key. My girlfriend's looking at me. She's like, "What are you laughing about?" Because, oh my God, you guys have been cracking me up. Seriously.
So about the Flash.
Oh shit! I'm sorry, son. I will give you seriously because I didn't realize how far off the clock we were going to go. I want to give Son the floor for just at least 5 minutes, at least, because Carlos.
Wait, you wanted to ask me questions. You guys ask me questions.
No, well, I am about to. So, Carlos and I, we talked to Son a couple episodes ago about the CW shows and she asked me, where do you start? And I said, start with The Flash. And Son, you pretty much binged season 1 of The Flash, didn't you? So I will totally give you more chances in the future to have more time to talk about how you feel. But give me your sort of review of what you've seen so far about The Flash and the CW shows in general.
Okay, so normally I can't binge TV shows like most people do with the online viewing. I'll usually sit down and watch an episode while I'm having lunch or dinner and watch an episode. I literally ate through this series like I was reading a book. I don't know how, but at some point I realized I started at the beginning with episode 1 and was doing my normal thing, and then somewhere between episode 4 and episode 7 I had realized I had literally just sat there and watched all of them back to back, and I thought, oh, this is great, but this is not going to be good.
Because you were going to get exhausted.
Because binge watching, I don't know the medical anything behind it, but it does physically start to make me sick.
So are you've just done season 1 so far?
Yeah, the way George presented it was kind of like this kind of like machete order that people do for Star Wars, right? So he said start with the Flash, do all of season one, and then start on like a few episodes of The Legend of Tomorrow, because you'll see a bunch of the heroes that you've already seen in season one of the Flash in Legends of Tomorrow.
Have you watched Arrow?
She
No.
doesn't need to. She doesn't.
He told me
Half the
specifically.
legends came from Arrow.
He told me
You can go back and forth. Come on.
He told me specifically you don't need to watch the
I
Arrow.
actually told her that too, Shell. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Shell. I'm sorry.
Because frankly, you get enough about what's going on with Arrow.
You get it,
from
yeah.
the crossovers. The crossovers tell you everything you need to know,
including Supergirl. By the way, you do not need to watch Supergirl.
You don't need to watch Supergirl.
So I watched to the end, and I wish I had known that the end of season one was a two-parter that started with season two, because
It actually wasn't. They just continued on. That's all.
No, it was a story that had a continuation in season two.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're
one,
right.
Because of the singularity. That's where the episode ends.
Right.
Is like
Isn't
this
it
little singularity.
season 2 where it starts, where there's an episode on every show, so she's gonna have to start flipping around?
Well, no, that's what I'm talking about. I told her she had
That's
to.
the problem I've been having with it.
Because
too.
you have
these
to.
crossover episodes are becoming.
Well, that's the
they're becoming a
complexity of
problem.
Yes, that's the complexity.
Well, I have a few questions about the Flash, period. But that aside, I wish he had told me to end that take with episode 1 of season 2, because I stop in this little two-parter and start the Legends of Tomorrow, and Firestorm has gone from 2 white dudes to a black dude and a white dude, and I'm like,
I totally
what?
forgot about that.
I haven't seen that yet.
Well, yeah, that was my bad. I forgot. And I told you this earlier, son, that I forgot about that. I'm
No,
sorry.
and I understand. It was confusing. So before I even finished season 1 of Legends of Tomorrow, I kind of went back to Flash episode or season 2 episode 1 and went, oh, that's
Okay, but here's the thing. You explained where your confusion was, but what is your opinion of the show? I'm pretty sure you like it, or you wouldn't binge it, right?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, definitely. It's a great show.
Season
So you
1
like
of Flash is fantastic. It's probably Arrow is my favorite, but it's probably my favorite of the.
Oh God, I hate Arrow. Okay, so and I appreciate it.
It's not terrible now.
Socialism doesn't work.
The first 3 seasons of Arrow were great. They've stretched it out too long, and it's gotten so convoluted.
It's venturing into the CW teenage romance show, is what it's become.
It's turning into Buffy 90210.
It did.
Yeah.
They should have just stopped it, because it's getting really bad.
You know
That's as opposed to the 100, which did the reverse. They started out as the CW teeny bopper show,
and they went
turned
backwards.
into a very
Yeah,
dark and
yeah.
intense and amazing show.
See, now that's
Yeah.
the thing. I couldn't get past the first episode of the 100.
I'm still trying to get past episode 1 of Riverdale, to be honest with you. And I'm an arch.
100 got really good in the second season, but this last season,
Hashtag bring back Warehouse 13.
And I couldn't.
What do you guys think about the? I'm just going to throw this out there since we're talking about the CW. I'm a huge Charmed fan, and I'm really worried about this new version.
It looks so
Oh boy,
bad.
here we go. Don't be a toxic fan, George. Don't be one.
I'm not. I'm just asking. What do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen?
George, when I put that on, when I commented on your Facebook about that, you got all over me when I said I was.
Did I? I don't remember. I was probably drunk.
I am
I'm sorry.
excited about this. This looks awful, and you wrote me like 75 paragraphs in response.
I probably did. I'm sorry. I'm a huge Charm fan. I love Alyssa Milano. I love Holly Marie Combs. I sort of like Rosie. What's her name? Rose McGowan. And I just feel like, geez.
I thought you were going to say Rosie O'Donnell. I was with that episode.
Yeah, I know. No, that would have been a bad episode. But, well, maybe it wouldn't have been. I don't know. I mean, Jesus Christ, she'd have been a witch. Would have made sense.
Aw.
I'm joking.
I
But-
think
Could have had Roseanne Barr too for all the screaming she does.
Oh my goodness.
Think about Charmed in the context of when it came out in the 90s, and did anyone
That's true.
ever in their wildest dreams think that cast would have the kind of chemistry that they did to be able to pull off a show like
I
that?
have no problem with the diversity
Because
thing. I don't. I just hate reboots. I wish they would just extend their universes. Every show. Just make it
I
an
totally agree.
extension.
You and I had this discussion about Doctor Who. I'm not against the female doctor. What I'm bothered by is the fact that they didn't in my opinion, it seems that the BBC didn't have enough confidence in just making
No.
a female centric Time Lord show, which I would have been thrilled by.
No. The only reason I'm going
They
to say
did
no.
have one. It was called
They-
the Sarah Jane Adventures.
They
I
well,
and it was
love that.
fantastic.
Oh my god, I loved her Sonic lipstick.
Sonic lipstick. Yeah, that was cute actually.
Yeah, it was very cute. I loved her show, actually.
Well, the thing
It
is,
was
back
outstanding. I have all 5 seasons. Yes, thank you very much.
in the 1980s, just so you know, back in the 1980s, there were people on the current John Nathan Turner and the people who were doing Doctor Who actually wanted to do a female Doctor. The only reason why Sylvester McCoy, the Seventh Doctor, was not female was at the time the conservative BBC made a choice. They said, no. That's the only reason. But they wanted this. The people who started the show and were producing it, they actually saw it as a logical thing. So this is the fact that it's happening right now. Sure, it's possible that it's a sort of everybody's on that tangent about whatever. However, it's illogical. It's not like they're doing it just to please a crowd, although it may seem that way.
No, I don't. I don't think that that's the reason why. This is my concern. I told you this before. Let me put it in perspective. If they had done this had made the 11th Doctor female, I don't think I'd be having these concerns, because at that point the series was at such a high point at the end of the Tennant era that everybody would have gone, "Hey, this is great." But now, over the past few years, the decline in viewership, honestly, the decline in the stories compared to the first, I'd say 7 or 8 seasons, has given me pause, thinking that it's not even a matter of diversity. This is a matter of gimmick to get more people interested in the show.
It's not.
See, all I have to do is laugh, because the only thought running through my head is, it's Stephen Moffat's fault.
And
I think there's a lot said for that. Look, hell,
It just
Wait, hold on.
seems to me that they're
Sherlock.
setting. It just seems
Well,
to me that they're
nothing's
setting
happened
her
to
up for
Sherlock. We haven't
failure.
seen one in 3 years.
Yeah, after
Good point.
this long hiatus, after going out on a low note, because a lot of the last stories were not that great, it just really seems like they're setting her up for failure, and then they can blame it on having a female.
well, here's the thing.
I hadn't even thought
Oh,
about
you
that.
guys are
That's another
such
reason
cynics.
why.
Come on.
I know.
No,
I feel like everything I've said tonight's negative. I'm sorry. I'm not always negative.
You
You're
don't really
not.
strike me as a negative person.
No,
It was just that one thing where, creators don't sit around in writers' rooms thinking the way you think that they think. They don't think in terms of, well, we need to write this so that if we fail, we can blame it on somebody else.
No,
they're
but
trying to
the
do their
possibility's
jobs.
there.
They may
Well,
be bad at it,
agree
but
with
that
but
doesn't
you
Well,
mean they're
hang
not
on.
sincere.
Shell and Sean, just for a second, hang on. The reason Carlos knows this is he's been in the writer's seat. He's been in the producer of a show.
Understand. I listened to the first part of the podcast. I get that, George.
All right, just make sure. I'm just playing devil's advocate. That's all.
My point is that, they're not going into this thinking that meta about it. They're just making a TV show and trying to hire the best people to make it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And because it didn't work so well, doesn't mean that they're coming in with new people in order to have an excuse for it not to have gone well. I mean, that's just not the way this
No, I'm
works.
not saying they're doing it on purpose, but I think that they are setting her up for failure because of all the things that have gone on. It's been so long since we've had an actual Doctor Who show. The momentum is down. So no, they didn't sit there and say, "Oh, what can we do?"
Well, they went a whole year
But they
between
are
2
setting
Christmas
her up
specials.
for failure.
Yeah, and you know what?
Well, hold on.
Go ahead.
We can talk about this until the cows come home.
And I will if you want me to.
October is a month away, and
Well,
then
That's
then we
basically
can
tomorrow.
watch a couple of episodes and then go, okay, this is good or this is bad. Because all we're doing right now is running around in circles going, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes.
I think that
Somebody's going to tug and pull and something's going to come out.
I think she's a fantastic actress, and I think that she can carry pretty much any role that she's given.
Oh my God, you did not just say that.
I love her.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misheard it. I thought you said she can carry a new hole. Sorry.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my.
I think that she will be able to.
No, I'm sorry. I really did actually
really
think
well.
I thought
Let
I
her
heard
go.
that.
Let her talk.
Sorry.
I
sweet baby
really do
Jesus.
think that the show has lost a lot of momentum.
That's kind of where I am. And I'm hoping that's what's gonna happen in a few weeks. Is I'm gonna be back on here with you guys. I'm going, fuck it, I was wrong about everything. This is outstanding.
Oh,
That's
dude,
what I
you're
want.
coming back. If you don't come back,
Yeah.
I'll drag you back.
Oh, I'll be back. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm way more of an optimist than you guys. I think that, it reminds me of just before, when they announced Matt Smith was going to take over. Do you remember everyone crawling out of the woodwork talking about how horrible it was that they were hiring this damn kid to be Doctor Who? And he had one of the longest and most successful runs. I loved Matt Smith.
I loved him too.
I love Matt Smith.
He was awesome.
I always
Good,
loved
but he
Tennant,
wasn't
but
The
first and foremost,
vitriol.
Matt Smith was great.
The vitriol for Peter Capaldi was astounding, and
yeah.
I'm literally sitting here in a seat going, I just want the doctor to say fuck once. That's all I want. I want
my
Peter
God.
Capaldi to say fuck as the doctor once. That's it.
Just once. I agree with you. Well, at least he got to do the guitar. They did the guitar intro. That one episode.
They did the psychic paper with him and his credentials, and the guy goes, why is there so much obscenity written on this?
Oh, I didn't catch that. You're right. But I loved how they used his love for guitar playing and the fact that he used to be in a band with Craig. They did that one intro for Deep Waters, I think it was called.
The bootstrap paradox.
Yes. Oh my God. So
and I honestly like Capaldi. I just thought that the writing didn't serve him. Is the problem?
Till the last season, I agree with you. Up until the last season, in the last season, he was outstanding.
Much better. It was much more prime Doctor Who feeling. It was definitely.
Well, they had better directors back then. At that point, they had Rachel Talalay, and they had better writers.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. They were finally playing to Capaldi's acting strength, which is as a doctor.
He didn't know how to write him.
They
had to give him
somber character that is just doing what he can to save everything.
Well, they had to give him a chance to see when they write. They have to picture in their heads who they're writing for, and they were like, "Oh, grumpy old doctor." That's all I guess that was. I'm assuming that was all they had as a sort of a template, right? So they had to. Once the writers started seeing him after one or two seasons, they started to go, "Oh, this is the way he could be, not the way he should be," and I think that's all the difference.
It's like when you listen to the groups that do D&D podcasting. They create a character for a season to do this one thing, or to be.
That's a good analogy, actually. I like that.
To be a certain type of person, but as they start playing the campaign, they go, "Oh, this is who the character is. Okay, let me play that character then."
So I need to do, before we end the show, I need to shout out something. Okay, so Shell and I were going to talk, and we're still going to right now for at least 1 minute. The original, a friend of mine who was the original, one of the founders of Super Geeks, his name was Anthony Battles. His online pseudonym was Black Magnum, and he was a good friend. He helped me out. He's been in some of my other projects. and I'm going to be on a show next week, next Friday, for Trek Radio, and I'm going to shout them out because the DJ who kept PMing me, and Shell, you know who he is, Jack Attack. He wanted me to know that they're going to do an online tribute to this man, this guy, and Carlos, you met him a couple of times when you were on the show back in the old days. And he was a great guy. When I'm not gonna lie about this. I'm not ashamed to talk about this. I've been homeless twice. Okay, and the first time I was homeless, which was a few years ago. I mean, when I first came out of it and found my feet, and this is kind of before I met you, Carlos. When I did come back and recovered and got back in my feet and got an apartment, the first thing Anthony did was he had a podcast called Club 602. Now, Shell and I met each other, I believe, I could be misremembering, but we met each other because she was on the show too, and he wanted to do an entire episode devoted to welcoming me back to being sort of, back in the world. And I never forgot that. He was a great man, and he and I everybody's human. We fought sometimes. I rage quit the show. That's how I knew I loved him, because he pissed me off. His whole tagline on his show was "Prepare to be offended." And I'll tell you what: if you were not prepared to be offended, you will get offended. I rage quit his show at least 5 times, and they loved it. And he kept saying to me every single end of the show, "See you next week, George," because he knew I would come back. And go ahead.
The thing about Anthony is he wanted everybody to think he was a dick. He loved it. Now sometimes he was. He said some stuff that was over the line to people, but most of all the stuff he did was he loved controversy. He loved, the fights. He would make little, pretend fights all the time. And that was just, he thought it was, people liked it. And underneath it, at least for me, I can't speak for everybody, but anytime he would say something like nasty to me, he would be like he would be texting me during the show being, and he'd be like, "I'm going to tell you this," or, "I'm going to do this." So, he did it just because that was his character. Black Magnum was a character. Black Magnum was an asshole. But Anthony was a really nice person.
That's exactly what it was. Yes.
Yeah, I went through a lot of stuff in about 5 years ago. And Anthony was there. Anthony texted me sometimes for a couple weeks, like every day, because I had a lot of shit going on. And, that was the stuff that he didn't show you unless
100%. Yes.
He would get so mad. A couple times on the podcast, I would call him a teddy bear, and he would get so mad. "I'm not a teddy bear. I'm Mac Daddy Black." But that was him. Anthony was underneath it all. He was to me, he was a good person, and he's my friend. Even when he started getting really sick himself, one of the last texts I got from him was he wanted to check on me because he hadn't heard from me in a while, and I was just really touched by that because I knew that he was, already pretty bad with ALS, and it's, to me, that's the Anthony that I'll, remember. I won't remember the asshole stuff, though. That's probably what he wants to be remembered for.
I'm going to be very transparent. I'm going to tell you guys a misunderstanding that he and I had. It was the only time that we had a really bad off the show fight. So there's this show online. Okay, it's I would have to look it up, so I'm not going to do that right now. But there's a reaction video group. I think it's Jesus, I can't remember their names. It's a couple of black guys. They're so funny, and they do these reviews. They do reactions of trailers and all this other stuff. Now they constantly use I'm just going to say it. This is me telling you from their point of view. I'm not being a racist. They will say the
N-word.
They use the N-word. They go like, "That's my nigga,"
George, I'm saving you.
Yeah. Well, they'll say like, "That's my nigga." Emoji something. I can't remember the emo something. I'll link it later. But they're so funny. But they'll say the N word constantly because obviously they have every right to because they are black people. Okay. I am not a racist. And I'm not going to be one of those guys that says just because I have black friends that makes it okay. However, the way they portray themselves on their show is they do it like this. They say, "That's my nigger, Captain America. He's my nigger," and they'll do like a Holy Mary symbol, like if somebody dies on a show, they go, "Word to my nigger." You know what I mean? So I simply watched something they reacted to, and in a chat, I said that I was repeating what they said. Now, Anthony happened to be a black man, and I just assumed that he knew that I wasn't a racist, but I was repeating what they said. Now, I said something about and I used the N word. But he got very offended very quickly because he misunderstood me. Because my mistake was I should have talked to him on a chat about this and not used it in texts. Because as we all know, when you say something in text, the tone can be misunderstood. And I didn't mean it that way. I was just repeating what these guys said on their show. When I said something like my nigger or whatever, I did not mean it like that. But he actually took offense and he didn't talk to me for like 2 months almost. I had to have other people reach out to him and say, "Look, George didn't mean it like this." He did finally forgive me, but I want to say it's not a problem, but like he's an online friend. I've never met the man in person, but I was so deeply upset with myself that I just went ahead and said, "Hey, this is what the guy said on the show," because I wasn't trying to be offensive. But he took offense, and I feel so bad about that to this day. He eventually forgave me, and he watched the clip of the show that I tried to explain to him, and he said, "I'm sorry that I misunderstood." But I just want everybody out there to know it's sometimes you have to think about what you're saying online, the tone. If you're not talking to somebody like we are in a chat right now, if they don't hear your voice, it is so easy to misunderstood what you say in a typed conversation. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
I know that all too well with you, George,
Yeah,
specifically.
you do. Yeah, you do.
Context is lost entirely through text. Either you get no context, you can't discern someone's tone, their attitude, you can't discern their emotion
I
from
just felt
simple
so
text.
bad because I
Right.
didn't mean it
Look,
at all like that.
I'm as well known, I guess, as one can be amongst the quote X&R detractors. Well, I actually another one of the big supporters, Stephen Mayhew, who was this guy.
The guy who plays
This
Chewie?
what's that?
No,
Oh, never mind. I'm
no,
sorry.
he's
Well,
just a guy in England.
he's just a guy.
Oh, okay.
He was a big supporter of theirs, this guy was vicious online with me, and we would go back and forth, and he PM'd me. It was just a lunatic. Well, then I started to talk to him on the phone, like over, and it's like it's amazing, the difference between somebody when you're reading what they post and what you're writing back to them because how you're taking it, and how different they become when you're actually speaking to them. Like we're speaking to each other now, we're getting to know each other. I mean, look, Stephen and I will never agree about accident. That's fine, but I remain friends with him. He and I have way more in common than we don't. And he's a good guy at the end of the day. I used to think the guy was a devil. He used to think that I was a devil. And now we're friends because we actually got to talk to each other. And this is, I think, one of the downsides of probably the biggest downside of social media is that we really don't have a chance to really understand each other anymore. We don't really have a chance to listen, to hear each other.
It's so
to
funny
hear
you
where we're
said
coming
that.
from.
You know who I'm talking about. I can't remember his name, but do you remember that dude, Sean? You were the one that said he was a good guy. I just don't remember his name. Remember when I talked about Axonar, when I made the joke about Alec Peters, on my that little animated thing that I did, and then the dude, he was defending him, and then I became friends with him. I can't remember his name, seriously, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's like you said, you
Yeah.
can be the guy that he was deaf and then he got an operation in his ear. You know what I mean?
Oh, Rand. Yeah, Rand and I are.
Rand, yeah, Rand.
Rand and I, same thing happened with me and Rand too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Rand,
I did that. I got.
He's a great guy. Absolutely.
Well, what I'm
wonderful
saying,
guy.
and all I'm saying is that I simply started off where I made a video, and I pissed off some people, and I got like 500 people literally to start attacking me, and then this guy was like, and I made a joke. I made a video with my animated Batman. I said, "Rand job," doing my Batman voice, from my show, and he's like. Funny thing is, he couldn't hear it at the time, right? Because he was
Right,
deaf.
he couldn't hear it,
That was the weirdest part.
Cochlear implant, right? Exactly.
Now that I think back on it, that's so weird because he couldn't hear it. But anyways, I guess someone must have interpreted it for him. But whatever.
Closed captions exist on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't think it mattered because it was animated. It wasn't like it was lip synced perfectly. However, so we couldn't lip read. But the point is, I'm trying to make is based on what Sean said. You start off as enemies with some people online. They say something. You try to, have a conversation. I had a conversation with a guy last night. There was a guy who said, it doesn't even matter what the subject is. I immediately felt bad for calling him an ass bucket. I don't know why I called him an ass bucket, but
because you're George.
Yeah, because I'm George. He said something. I said, "You ass bucket," and then about 5 seconds, and then he said something, and then I said, "You know what? I apologize to you. I shouldn't have said you're an ass bucket because I don't know you." And he immediately responded back, "You know what? I forgive you because you apologized to me." And I thought to myself,
yeah.
It's
all
super,
man. It's all shit take.
Wow, civility is amazing, isn't it?
It is.
It's a super easy trap to fall into online, or even on, like something like this, to fall into a trap of getting butt hurt. And it happens a lot. But, you went on with it. You and Anthony made up. I mean, I think every single person on Club 602 at one point or another had a falling out with Black Magnum. It's just how it was.
Yeah.
But you moved on, you let it go. So I think that's probably what was important.
Well, and there's more because I'm not going to do that, but there's so much more that went on behind the scenes, and Shell, and Sean, and the thing is that we're all going to this is the way I look at it. I don't know any of you, Carlos, Shell, Son, and especially you, Sean, because you're kind of an asshole. But I'm joking. I'm joking.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
I'm totally joking, kind of. But anyways,
Wow.
Are you kidding me? I wear that like a badge. I wear that like an ugly Christmas.
He really does. He really does.
Oh, I wish Hinman was here. Seriously.
George, did he ever have you fill out the butthurt form? Because we did have a Club 602.
We did have a butthurt form. That was what I loved about him. He had a form.
And the number one reason for being butthurt was Black Magnum said something mean to you.
Oh my God, how many times did he make me rage quit? It was like maybe 20 times. And you know what? It's funny. His son actually defended me because there was one guy I wanted to have on the show, and he said, "Well, if you're not actually, if this request is not coming from Magnum, you know what I mean, son? You know what I'm talking about." And I'm not going to say the person's name. I'm just saying
the whole point of that was you had the contact. You said he would be great for the show.
He didn't recognize me as a host, right? But you told him.
Right. And once I was in the conversation and said, yeah, we all agreed. We'd like you to be on the show. George is the person who had contact with you, so we said, yeah, go and ask.
And the guy who, he's a great friend. He's still a great friend. He's affecting my life. I'm not going to put him on the spot. So he says, well, unless you get him to ask me, I don't want you, I don't recognize this. And Sun went and she schooled him. And the only reason why he apologized.
I did not.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
No, you make it sound like I just railed on him, and I didn't. I go,
well,
I went, no, he asked, we said, cool, that'd be fine, since you know him, you go ask.
He said literally, Sun schooled me, so I'm just letting you know. That's what he said.
Okay.
So I'm just saying you schooled him because he saw it that way. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is...
It's scenario time!
Oh my God, that's exactly what... That was part of his show. So guys, seriously, I could go on all day about how much I love this man. And we had such a great time on his show. And Carlos, I'm glad that you got to know him a little bit. And like I said... Oh, there's just so much that I could say so many things. Heyman loved him, and I'm gonna miss him. I really am, and I'm so sorry he's gone. But I will say this: he made my life. My girlfriend offline, she would listen to the show and she'd be like, this guy's awesome. I love this guy, and he would always just say certain things. And if Ross was here right now, he would totally chime in. We all had a great time, and I will always remember him. So I want to thank you guys for being here while I express this. And Michelle, thank you so much, seriously, for being here tonight, so that I could just have a 2-minute, which turned into maybe 15 minutes, whatever, memorial for him, because he deserved
Thank you for
it.
inviting me. He did. Yeah, he did.
Thank you. All right, you guys. So this show, I'm not worried about the fact that it went over the line as far as the 2-hour mark, because I'm okay with that. Anthony deserved me taking that extra 20-minute rant or whatever. And by the way, this was probably the funnest episode I've had this season.
It's also been the most starstruck that I've seen you in a long time.
I mean, if we can get James Colley, seriously, you and Sean, if you guys can get him.
I'm gonna fanboy again.
I'm not just gonna fanboy. I'm willing to convert. If you guys will get James Colley on this show, I will admit I love him.
Whoa. Convert to what?
Don't think that's
I don't know.
A selling point.
Colley sexuality. Let's call it Colley sexuality, whatever you guys want to call it. I don't care.
I don't know if that's necessarily a selling point, George.
I honestly think I'm gonna.
I just said that.
I honestly think.
Okay, it's hilarious.
Can I name this episode Colley sexuality? I don't know.
No, you can't,
No.
George. Let us help you. Help us help you.
Look, I keep trying to yank on the chain, but you just keep choking yourself, George.
But it's James Colley. It's James Colley. I'm sorry.
I understand, but he is not the mailman. He is not the mailman.
You don't understand. No, you don't.
Heal, George. Heal.
You just don't. I would eat dog food if I could have him on my show.
Oh my God.
Gosh, George, too far.
Okay, well, then if you're doing that, then it's got to be a video podcast.
Okay, I won't eat dog food. Okay, you're right. I won't eat dog food.
Wait, wet or dry?
Dry.
Okay.
I'm sure that really changes the calculus around the...
It does. It makes the visual so much more enjoyable. Watching George crunch on dry dog food would be amazing.
I'm losing my professional integrity. I probably lost it.
I think you lost that a while ago.
Yeah, especially when you guys talked about James and you guys having a drink with him. I'm sorry, Captain Marvel Jr. I am not Batman. Wait, yes I am.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. But seriously, James Colley. Anyways, Oh my God. So yeah, this was more than fun.
So when we doing it again, brother?
Well, if you don't bring James Colley with you, then I don't know what to tell you.
Then forget
okay.
about it.
Okay, George, it's time for the social media askings, right?
No, it's time for me to get a Colley collar. I'm joking.
Yeah, don't.
Oh man, it's getting creepy.
Yeah, I know.
If he ever,
I mean, if you're getting a collar for James Colley anyway, shouldn't it be a shock collie?
oh my gosh,
Oh,
if you ever had a chance for him to come on, George, I think you lost it.
gag me with a ball.
And chain.
Well, I mean, Sunseal has a drawer.
Oh my God. Okay.
You're leading us down the path of iniquity, George.
Path of iniquity. I've already turned to the dark side. I don't even know what to think right now. Anyways,
this is torture. Chain me to the wall.
all I'm gonna say is that if anybody can get James Colley to come on my show, I will tell you what. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll just say what.
I'll tell you what.
To have an episode, George, you would be like too, just hyperventilating.
Look, I've talked to Vic, but it was on Terry's show, GNT. I'm sorry, but
George,
I had a good.
You went up like a whole octave just when you found out that they had a drink with them.
I did.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I'm a fan. Him and Vic are like my heroes. I'm sorry. It's yeah, you can laugh, but it's true. And
it's adorable to me.
Whatever. Anyways,
they're not laughing at you, George. They're laughing
with me. Yeah.
They're
whatever.
laughing near you. They're
not near me. She's way down the south somewhere. I don't even know, in the bayou of Louisiana.
Whoa. Don't give them that visual with you, George. I am not down below.
You actually are below.
This is time for those social media sign-offs.
So that's the end of our show, people. I'm Batman. Sorry. That was my Batman voice. So, oh my God, do we really need to go over the whole social media thing? Because I need to end the show. So I will though. Carlos, how well do you know James Colley? No, I'm just kidding. So
I've known him for 15 years. We worked together for 15 years.
Yeah, you did. He plays Mackenzie. Oh my fucking God, seriously, dude. I have a new perspective on life right now.
So where can you be found?
I can be found probably opening up a bottle of.
Apparently in
James
a car across the street from James Colley's house.
No, I don't know where he lives. I'm not going to go there, but I will drink. I have an unopened bottle of Dr. McGillicuddy's
I was just trying to help you out, George.
Yeah, I know you tried.
George.
James Colley.
Okay. No.
No.
Carlos, where can we find you on social media?
Yes,
where can we find you with James Colley?
On Twitter at Axomonitor. I am on Facebook at the Axomonitor Facebook group and the website, of course, axomonitor.com.
And where can we find James Colley?
I'll have to check my contact list.
Have a restraining order in the morning.
Shit, sorry. And Shell, where can we find you if you even want to be found?
You can find me on Twitter at MichelleLHS. I'll try to be more active.
And George, where can we find you?
You should definitely come back to the show, Michelle. You were great. I love hearing from you.
This is why she started the show with me, my friends.
I had so much fun when it was just when it was me and you and Will and Anthony. We had a lot of fun. I loved
it. Doesn't have to end.
It doesn't have to end.
Well,
exactly.
I'll see. I'll try to fit it in my schedule.
I will tell you what. I'm going to keep inviting you every week, and if you happen to show up, that's awesome. But I will keep inviting you. Does that sound good?
That sounds perfect.
It sounds like you've made a few fans here today, including Sean. And jeez, seriously. And George, where can you be found? I'll tell you where I can be found. I can be found.
My goodness.
I can be found here. And I'm going to post it so it doesn't really matter if I repeat it. Son, where can you be found? God damn it.
You can, if you are so inclined, I can be found on Facebook at facebook.com/sunsealfan, where where I post links to my show, the shows that I've done. So yay!
And Sean?
I can be found not rooting around James Cully's garbage can like some people.
God damn!
Not anymore, anyway.
But you can. I'm over. Like I said, I'm over at the X Monitor on the X Monitor group on.
No. You can't direct people to Maximum.
No,
We need.
I got, man. I don't have much of a. I mean,
That's what he is.
But nothing against you, Carlos. But we need to know where he can be found.
You can look me up as Sean P. O'Halloran on Facebook. Other than that, though, just due to the fact I have so much going on right now professionally that I just don't have time for really much more social media than that. That's like the best place to track my ass down.
Don't let George berate you for not having Twitter.
Oh, I don't use Twitter myself. It exists for me. I just don't really use it that much.
It exists for you, but it's actually in the hands of handlers.
Actually, she's not lying. I actually I told I told my Steve Roberts, who runs Tribbles and Ecstasy, and I think, Shell, you know who he is. I told him one day, because he was helping me maintain my Starfinder site. There was this one time years ago when I went too far, and I made the mistake of using the Starfinder Twitter after I had a couple of drinks, and I maybe said something I shouldn't have said. And so anyways, I handed over the keys to Steve, and I said, I can't tweet while drunk. So, ever since then, that's what she means.
You've got no problem podcasting while drunk, though.
Not today, I promise you. I'm just
This is exactly why he's like this, because he's actually sober right now.
Oh my gosh, do you remember, George?
Yes, I was going to say.
Now I'm doing it, George. Do you remember when we recorded that Lois Lane tampon video or commercial, and I had to drink like a bottle of wine before I could do it?
So what Michelle's talking about is, and this is the funniest. Seriously, I'm glad you brought this up. If you guys will indulge us for maybe
radio.
Yeah. So we did an episode. Sun was in Catwoman in this episode. Okay, I'm sorry if you don't like potty humor, you won't like it. But a long time ago, I linked it on my social media, and I'll link it again if you guys are interested. But seriously, Subspace Radio, who is a radio show that I have worked for as a writer and professionally for the last, actually since 2010, I think. We did an episode of Bat Radio where Shell had to play Lois Lane pretty much masturbating about a Superman tampon.
No. I was just talking about the Superman tampon.
The Superman safe tampon. I just listened to the episode last night, to be honest with you. I did. I really did. I honestly did.
Nearly as bad as the stuff Sunseal had to do in that episode. Episode is when I
Yes, but see, I'm more normalized to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do you remember what was it? Super Twin Cest? Oh, holy shit!
Oh my god!
Holy shit!
She played Wonder Woman. The Wonder Twins. Jaina, the sister, in an episode of Bat Radio called Wonder Twincest. And yes, we went there. Is what I'm trying to say. We went there.
Yeah.
You sure did.
Oh my god. Holy crap. But no, don't you remember? I had to interview myself in that. That was so weird.
Oh, yeah, because you were playing Lois Lane. I forgot about that. You did. You played Lois Lane and you played Jaina from the Wonder Twins. So the joke we made in the episode was that the idea was we were implying that Xana and Jaina were,
Wonder Twin powers activate. Form of a kitty.
Oh, my pussy's so wet. Form of water.
Yes, and then he said
Okay.
Form of water.
So
anyways,
it's literally a Mrs. Slocum joke from Are You Being Served?
Oh
so you get the joke. You get the joke. I'm sorry.
So
you beat me to it on that. Holy shit.
Is it Carlos? Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go too far. I'm just trying to give you the idea of how far the joke went.
It was so bad.
Got that idea.
Yeah. So, anyways, certain types of humor don't appeal to everybody, which is the whole controversy. And I get that, but it was fun. But
we should make more episodes.
We do, actually, don't we? Well, you've already been working on 2 episodes. Anyways, I'm going to just call it now. But, Yeah, so Bat Radio is popular for certain types of humor, but I will never say that it applies to everybody because I've come to understand that you have to, take it with a grain of
It's
salt.
rated R.
It's rated mature because
Hard R.
Exactly. Anyways, I want to. God Almighty, this is the funnest show I've ever done. Anyways, I'm so.
He's also sober too, so.
Oh well, sort of. I started. I'll be honest with you. I've had a couple of drinks in the middle of the show, but I'm not like. Yeah. Anyways, God Almighty, thank you so much. This was a good show.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Wait a minute.
Bye.
Wait a minute, Sean.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask where he can find you, but I guess we'll be back here.
This all
No,
started.
I'll be back there. I'll be back here in the show. And like I said, I've currently my social media presence is really just limited right now to me. You can find me on Facebook, Sean P. O'Halloran. You're not going to find too many of us out there. Like I said, I also cruise around that Axe Minor stuff. Oh, also here's a group I'd like to promote on Facebook. Have you ever been to it? Star Trek ship posting. Yes, it's everything you hoped it could be, and that's my current favorite group outside of our Axe Monitor group.
A bunch of Kevin and Tuvix memes.
Yes, you know it well. Yes.
All right, you guys. I could go on and on because you guys are hilarious, but anyone who has watched this show, or I'm sorry, listened to the show because it's an audio show, I want to tell you that I'm sorry, and have a good day. And everybody, I hope you see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks.